Hello and welcome to Rubbin Minds. My name is Hero Daniels. Many thanks for joining us. For decades, the bedrock of journalism and democracy itself has rested on a simple premise: seeing is believing. But as Nigeria prepares for the 2027 general elections, we confront a chilling reality where your own eyes can be used to deceive you. We're no longer just dealing with misleading headlines. Today, sophisticated artificial intelligence can clone voices, manipulate videos, and broadcast hyper-realistic propaganda directly into our WhatsApp groups in under 60 seconds. Yet, the ultimate peril of this technology is not just that you will believe a lie. It is what media experts call the liar's dividend. When anything can be faked, public figures gain the perfect escape hash. You know, we saw this play out when a viral video surfaced of Senator Adams Oshomole massaging a lady's foot aboard a private jet. His media team immediately dismissed the footage as an AI fabrication, even though, according to Business Day reports, that the independent forensic tools later confirmed the video was completely authentic. This is the real threat to our democracy. In this upcoming election cycle, when a politician is caught in a genuine act of corruption or misconduct, their easiest defense will be, that's just an AI deepfake. When everything can be simulated, accountability dies. So, how do we spot the difference? True deepfakes leave digital footprints. The technology is already here, and it is not going away. It can only be used maliciously to destroy reputations, or it can be deployed by journalists and electoral bodies to track disinformation. The defining question tonight is, are Nigerian institutions, our media, and fundamentally you, the voters, prepared for an election cycle where the truth itself is up for debate? To discuss this topic, the deepfake election, is Nigeria ready for AI politics, is Nkem Agonwa, Associate Director of Programs, Witness.org. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's indeed a pleasure to be here today.
All right, let's get straight into it. What do you think, moving into 2027, what is going to be the impact of AI?
That's an interesting question. The scale of the challenge has changed the landscape dramatically. Artificial intelligence has unfortunately lowered the barrier to creating convincing false content. Today, someone with a smartphone device and widely available AI tool can generate videos, images, audio, text, even websites with far less technical skill, time, or cost than ever before. And what is even more precarious is that it can be tailored to specific audiences and spread rapidly across platforms. So for a country like Nigeria, where our democracy is still evolving and where divisions along ethnic, religious, and political lines can be easily exploited, this presents a significant challenge. We know that the periods leading up to elections is often marked by heightened political tensions, and at times election-related violence. That's a real threat that we have to have at the back of our minds. So AI makes it much easier to create and spread convincing false content at speed and scale, which can inflame existing divisions, fuel mistrust, and disrupt the information environments on which free and fair elections actually depend on.
So what do you think can be done about this? You know, currently I don't even know if there's any legislation towards that effect in terms of trying to prevent the damaging impact of what artificial intelligence could be used for. So do you think, you know, we need to sort of infuse into our legislation? What does INEC need to do to sort of checkmate how AI images and AI videos are being used in politicking?
I would say that the goal shouldn't be to regulate AI itself. It should be to regulate the harmful use of AI while protecting freedom of expression and legitimate political debate. Any legal reform should start from a human rights framework that protects freedom of expression while preventing real-world harm. So that means laws should focus on the use of AI that infringes on people's rights. For example, content that deliberately deceives voters, incites violence, facilitate non-consensual intimate imagery, which is a real threat. Over 90% of deepfake use cases are of women in non-consensual intimate context. So we have to watch for this on how it undermines the safety and participation of journalists, activists, and other at-risk communities. We must also do this at the same time. The law must protect legitimate political expression. Satire, for example, is a protected expression. These must be protected. Investigative journalism and artistic creativity must also be protected. Democracies need space for criticism and debate, even when AI is used as a creative tool. So it's really not to regulate AI itself, but to regulate the harmful uses of it. And that's why, as Witness, our perspective is that regulation should be proportionate. It must be grounded in human rights framework. And it has to center the rights of the most vulnerable amongst us. So the focus should be on preventing harm, increasing transparency, ensuring accountability from the technological companies, and providing effective remedies for whose rights have been violated, and more importantly, not restricting expression or innovation. So ultimately, the goal is to build an information ecosystem where people can participate freely, trust authentic information, and hold power to account without sacrificing their fundamental rights.
Okay. In line with that, do you think political parties should be mandated to disclose whether artificial intelligence was used in any of their materials? Be it a video, be it a picture. Do you think the political parties have to be mandated to disclose when putting out those material that part of the material or all of the material was generated using AI?
Absolutely. At the very least, political parties should be required to clearly disclose whenever campaign materials have been created or significantly altered using artificial intelligence. Voters deserve to know when they are interacting with AI content or when any piece of material that they encounter has been altered in any form using artificial intelligence. This is so they can make informed decisions. But I would say that disclosure alone is not enough. INEC also needs a broader set of guardrails to protect the integrity of the information environment. And these guardrails should include a rapid response protocol to assess and publicly address harmful deepfakes or manipulated content during election periods before they spread widely. Secondly, we have to look at stronger partnerships. And this is also something that INEC has to strengthen partnerships with social media platforms to quickly identify, label, and limit the spread of demonstrable, manipulated election content. Also, I would add that we have to create a more robust environment for the support of independent fact checkers and media organizations, ensuring that they have access to the expertise and tools needed to verify suspicious content quickly. And the underlying word there is quickly. And then finally, public awareness campaigns. We really cannot overemphasize that enough. Citizens need to know and recognize manipulated media and where to verify questionable content before sharing it. So clearly, we have to have clear reporting and complaint mechanisms that allow political parties, journalists, and members of the public to flag suspected AI-generated election disinformation for rapid review. And INEC sits at the center of this.
Okay, fantastic. Now, another worrying issue is the fact that sometimes even real videos can be reported as AI, especially when it puts a particular figure or a particular political party in a negative light, and it gets out there. Let's say a journalist was able to, get a footage and releases the footage, and it's not good for the candidate or it's not good for the political party, and they now issue a memo saying that it's AI. So where do we now draw? How do citizens clearly identify what is AI and what is not?
What you have just described is what you had in your opening remarks called the liar's dividend. And this is the real challenge. At Witness, we have a program called the Deepfakes Rapid Response Force. So this is a team of media forensic experts from across the world who provide timely assessment of suspected deepfake cases to under-resourced newsrooms. And in 2024, what we found was that a third of the cases that were escalated to us were actually of authentic audiovisual evidence of politicians doing or saying things that they are perhaps embarrassed by, or in some cases illegal, and claiming that it was a deepfake. So what we have seen is that this phenomenon has indeed presented itself as a shield for threat actors to evade accountability. So that is a real challenge. And what can we do? First is to recognize that this exists, that this is a cop out for threat actors, for political actors to evade accountability, to deny real claims. And so there has to be a socialization of that being a possibility. The second is for the responsibility to be shared. At Witness, we call it a pipeline of responsibility. The onus shouldn't be on the end users alone to understand what is real and what is not. Neither should it be on the journalists alone. The tech platforms have a key role to play down the pipeline, from the regulators to the tools developers, down to those who are using those tools, and then the end consumer. There has to be a pipeline of responsibility, and we have to advocate for that. The third is for us to provide the resources necessary for newsroom to be able to effectively use detection tools and explain the detection outcomes, because we also know that there's something called the false positives, right? Where you
Yeah.
use a detection tool and it tells you that this is 98% a deep fake, but we forget that there is a 2%. Right? And that 2% in the margins of error really counts for a lot. So it is strengthening the entire ecosystem and not placing the responsibility solely on the end user or on the journalists, whom we know that the newsrooms in our country are significantly stretched. So we have to share that responsibility and also rely on partnerships. And this is where the Deepfakes Rapid Response Force for Witness also comes in handy, and would also encourage newsrooms across the country to escalate cases to our force, and we'll be more than happy to respond. Between 24 to 48 hours, you would receive a timely assessment.
Wow, that is fantastic work. Well done. Now, how can artificial intelligence be used to positively drive the elections? You know, from information down to how the servers work. Can INEC adopt part of AI to make sure that we don't have issues that occurred in the last election cycle happening again in this election cycle? So, how can we use it positively?
Absolutely. AI has enormous potential to strengthen democracy if deployed responsibly. For example, AI can make voter education more accessible by translating election information into Nigeria's many languages. And we've also seen how this has been used in other countries that are just as diverse as Nigeria. So AI has the potential to be used in that way. It could also be used to simplify complex public policy and make information available to people with disabilities through voice assistants and other accessible formats. This is the potential for AI. It can also help citizens compare party manifesto, right? Because we see these manifesto documents, some of them are like 100 pages long, and it's
Right.
difficult for you to make sense of them, right? But AI can really help you understand electoral processes and access reliable information more easily. It can do that, particularly for young people who our attention span is growing thinner and thinner by the day. So the challenge is ensuring that these benefits are matched with strong safeguards. We need transparency. We need accountability. We need independent oversight so that the same technology used to educate voters isn't also used to manipulate them. So I would say that the question isn't whether we should embrace AI or reject it. That's really not the question. It's how we harness its benefits while putting the very right safeguards in place to protect the integrity of our democracy.
All right. We've said so many amazing things. You've provided so much insight. But the question now is, do you think we are really ready for the impact of artificial intelligence? Also, taking into cognizance the political actors that we have, in this election cycle. do you think Nigerians are ready to actually navigate what will come with AI in this election cycle?
I think that, the challenge of AI is a global one. Like, a lot of countries are grappling with how to deal with this new phenomenon. It is arguably the next revolution. Like, people call this the AI revolution. It has transformed the way we interact with the world. So this is new, and it's posed such it's threatened the foundations of everything that is familiar to us. And as Nigerians, like, asking the question as we look ahead into 2027 elections, are we genuinely prepared for an election that is shaped by artificial intelligence? Honestly, I would say I don't think we are fully prepared yet, but I also don't think it's too late. The 2027 election, it gives us a critical window to act. So preparing for 2027 will require the whole of society response, technically. Like, we all would have it's on all hands on deck, from INEC to the government to technology companies to journalists, civil society, researchers, and everyone. We all have a role to play. We need clear rules, that is for sure. We need stronger partnerships. We need better digital literacy. We need investment in verification capacity, and we need a clear rapid response mechanism before and not during. So we have to act now. So I would say that we are at a critical window, and we should not wait until the first viral deepfake of the campaign to begin preparing. We have to prepare now. But I would say that we must prepare but not panic, right? Because there's no room for us to panic and begin to doubt everything and become cynical. That is not good for our democracy. We need to have a core, a good sense of a shared reality. So it requires us to have a critical mind, but not a cynical mind. So the decision we have over the next few months will shape not just the integrity of the 2027 elections, but the future of public trust in our democracy.
Thank you very much, Nkem. Thank you so much for coming on to the program. We appreciate your time. All right.
Thank you.
That was a very insightful segment. And yes, please, if you do see that viral clip, you have to look at it a second time and confirm whether artificial intelligence has a role to play in what you're watching, or if what you're watching is really real. Rubbin Mind continues after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Rubbin Minds. Before we went on the break, we're talking about artificial intelligence and the role AI would be playing in the 2027 elections. And right now, we want to talk about Nigeria's next set of innovators. Nigeria has no shortage of brilliant ideas, but many never make it beyond the prototype stage because of limited funding, weak manufacturing infrastructure, and poor access to markets. To help close that gap, the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, better known as NASENI, has launched the Innovate Naija Challenge, a nationwide innovation program aimed at discovery and supporting Nigerian innovators with practical solutions in engineering, manufacturing, science, and technology. With 250 million naira in prizes, participation from all 36 states and the FCT, and implementation in partnership with AfriLabs, the program seeks to connect innovators with mentorship, manufacturing facilities, commercialization support, and investment opportunities. But beyond the competition itself, the bigger ambition is to build more products in Nigeria, create jobs, and strengthen the country's industrial capacities. Joining us from our Abuja studio to discuss Innovate Naija, powering Nigeria's next generation of innovators, is the Executive Vice Chairman, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, Mr. Khalil Suleiman Halilu. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Okay, let's dive straight into it. You've been driving a huge transformation at NASENI. How does this program, Innovate Naija, fit into that transformation you're driving?
Well, like you earlier mentioned, that Nigeria has never lacked brilliant ideas. What we lack is a system that convert those ideas to products, to companies, and eventually to industries. Also, we need a transformation anchor and a melting point for this to happen. If you remember from our previous interview, Naseni runs under the concept of the Triple C, which is creation, collaboration, and commercialization, which we believe will bring about sustainability in everything we do. So Innovate Nigeria now becomes a convergence point for this to happen, where innovators meet mentors, they get funding, they can leverage our workshops, they can leverage our institutes, they can also leverage our network. But the whole idea is sovereignty. Everywhere in the world we are talking about AI sovereignty, industrial sovereignty, and the likes. So we need to build and provide that system that brings about sovereignty for our nation.
Okay, that's fantastic. I like that you mentioned sovereignty. And speaking about sovereignty, I mean, for a nation to have sovereignty means that there are certain original ideas, there are certain prototypes that has to be consolidated on. Now, we've seen a pattern where a lot of brilliant scientists, a lot of brilliant engineers, they build a prototype, but it seems like after they get funding, it's either they're not able to sustain it, they're not able to scale it. What do you think will be different eventually when these grants are given out? Is there a plan to make sure that it is sustained? Is there a plan to make sure that these prototypes are being commercialized and scaled?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, there's a plan in place, and that's why we have the Innovate Nigeria challenge. And oftentimes, so I'm lucky to be both an entrepreneur and an engineer, software engineer. I keep telling engineers that despite being able to create something, you need to learn other soft skills. For example, marketing, business development skills, if you want your product to scale. Today, if you look at a lot of, great entrepreneurs or great scientists that have turned into entrepreneurs, they have to learn those skills along the way. So yes, there is money, but away from the money, the institutional support that we give these people is what's most important. Like we are aware, we are partnering with Afri Labs, which is #1 in Africa in terms of scaling ideas to products and to companies. So there are a lot of success stories in our portfolio, and for every new product or new entrepreneur or innovator that comes into our ecosystem, we give them all the necessary support from mentorship. Sometimes you realize that money is even the least of their issue, because creating one product is one thing, but how do you replicate it? How do you ensure that you have a supply pipeline? How are you different from competitors? How do you write your pitch deck? How do you attract external funding? How do you protect yourself from competition? What is your unique selling point? All those is like taking them into a boot camp, doing like a crash course MBA, to ensure, and doing also the hand-holding to ensure that they succeed.
The importance of, supporting Nigerian-made products and ideas so we can grow the Naira cannot be overemphasized. However, sometimes we see a lot of our indigenous manufacturers having to compete with cheaper imported products, so they have an original product, and for some reason, their competitors are cheaper because, sometimes when it's being imported, it's just cheaper. So how do you think we can sort of fine-tune this discrepancy?
So every country has a competitive advantage. And one thing we need to do as Nigerians is, first of all, identify your competitive advantage. As an innovator or entrepreneur, there is no point competing on things where you don't have leverage. So one of the things we've identified is Nigeria has a lot of leverage when it comes to assembly. You can't, it's like for example, I like this example because our music industry, it's very, very competitive, and we're almost, if not #1 in the world. So the most important thing is you need to understand yourself, and you can't do it all. I often get asked this question that, is this product that you produce at Naseni 100% local? And I said, if you understand globalization, you know that it doesn't even make sense to build things 100% local. Today you have Apple assembled in, made in China, assembled in California, and you can see all the trade wars happening. So the most important thing for me is to find your biggest advantage and you leverage it. And this is what we continue working to diagnose at the Innovate Nigeria Challenge.
Amazing. Now, I also did notice that this particular challenge is open to innovators as young as 15 years old, and this is spanning across 36 states in Nigeria, so it is very commendable because it's nationwide. How do you think, certain young people can also tap into what is going on, especially those that don't have access to the traditional innovator hubs?
Well, not only from 15, we have a program called Future Makers, which start from as young as 5 and 7. The whole idea is at every point in your journey, there should be an assignee program that you can leverage on as an innovator. As you are aware, we have institutes in different parts of the country, but we're also making things more virtual than physical in terms of spreading the opportunity. And one way we did that is, we partnered with state governments. We want to trickle it down to local governments. But the whole idea and the whole dream is we don't want you to pick up a phone and call someone at Naseni to say that I have an innovation. It should be there. Programs should be there waiting for you. That's why we roll out, various programs, especially for women, where we carve out special, resources for them intervention. So we want to have a flat playing ground. And oftentimes I get people send me, oh, here's an innovator in Katsina, here's an innovator in Ondo. We want you to now send them the link or to send them our website so that people can go and access these benefits. We want to have like a very open policy.
All right. For the longest time, when people hear about innovation, they think about the software, they think about the apps. But also, we've noticed that you are pushing engineering, you're pushing hardware. Why?
Well, the engineering is the anchor. Before software, it has been anchored to everything. And behind every software, there's a piece of engineering. There's a data center, there is a fund that is cooling and whatnot. So there are a lot of opportunities, especially in a developing and emerging economy like Nigeria for engineering, because we have 3 key areas where we want to leverage on. Number 1, creating jobs. 2, reducing capital flight. And 3, in where we can export and earn hard currency. So engineering fits perfectly in that. And in Africa, we try to reduce, or in Nigeria, we try to reduce the amount of automation at this point. We're a growing economy, there are so many people without jobs, so why automate? And our labor is relatively cheap compared to other parts of the world. So we take that into consideration, for the benefit of the economy.
All right. Beyond funding, these innovators also need mentorship. They also need, hand-holding. What role will the government play in terms of making sure that, they are not just left alone even after being given funding?
So it's a complete school. The funding is the bait. But I assure you, for those that have engaged with us, they see even more benefits in terms of mentorship. One of my favorite quotes is, all you need sometimes is someone who believes in you, even if they don't understand the full picture, you're painting, because that powers you. It's like a fuel. I've had the benefits of having so many different mentors, and the impact cannot be quantified. And these mentors, a lot of them are not a burden, and you remind them of their younger selves. And truly, they want to see you succeed. And no one scale and succeed at an industrial level without having these mentors. And don't forget, beside mentors, they can leverage our innovation hub. They can leverage our institute. It's basically like a zero capital, to come into the ecosystem and start scaling. Once you have something that is of valuable, we're definitely ready to play.
All right. So let's talk about Innovate Nigeria, the competition itself. So how many people were shortlisted, and how many people are eventually going to get access to this grant?
So we received over 3,000 applications, which is quite impressive for a first time. This is the first time we are doing a show like this, and each state is going to have a winner. There is a voting perspective because the public. One of the best way to validate your idea is for the public to buy it, because at the end of the day, it's the public that you are going to sell this product to. So we consider everyone at a state level a winner, and they are going to get a token of prize. But the number one, the final winner will walk home with 100 million naira, which we believe is quite significant for a challenge like this.
Currently, we are seeing the 35 people being selected on the screen. Congratulations to them. Also, please, can you let us know what your website is so that we can have more information on this?
It's naseni.gov.ng.
Okay, all right. And when these people have been, selected, and of course the grand prize is 100 million naira, what is next for them?
So next is they go into the boot camp, okay, where we further diagnose your product, help you with supply chain, help you with design, and then there is the business aspect. We help you with marketing, we help you with pitch deck, we help you with finding your competitive edge. Because if you innovate something, it's very easy for a big company to copy, and replicate at a higher scale. But what will make you different is if you have a competitive edge. And what that simply means is what you have that others cannot copy. And we constantly, like to leverage. And we also try to show our innovators that as a local, you have a different angle and different perspective, to localize and build products that suit our, the environment. And, the terrain has changed. People now are more accustomed to local products. There is more patronage for local products, and we hope and see that to scale. Starting from our fashion, interestingly, I have friends competing for fashion in other parts of the world saying, oh, can you introduce me to a Nigerian, tailor? We had, you guys have the best, and so on. So at every point, what innovation are you bringing to the table? And then how can we give you that edge, that support for you to be able to scale? And this is how we are going to build companies and industries.
That is amazing. I'm just a bit curious, as to how the 35 people were actually selected. What was the criteria? I mean, beyond the obvious ones that you've already mentioned, with how authentic their innovations and their ideas are. So
we have different thematic areas. For example, renewable, AI, agriculture, and the likes. As government, you need to prioritize what will have the most impact for the citizens and the economy. And based on that, we have an open application where you submit, and we have a form that you fill, and we tell you exactly what we are looking for. Then it's an automated, scoring system before we move into the voting stage.
Amazing. So when it gets to the voting stage, is the voting open to the public, or there's a jury? What's the process with that?
There are two levels of, so for you to qualify at the state level, it's open to the public, and then the very last finalists, we bring in professionals that understand the industry, that understand the impact, that can see products that are easy to scale, and also look at the founders and see where best we should place our bet.
All right, that's fantastic. I'm actually truly looking forward to it. Is there a particular date that we should look forward to? Yes,
so there's a program we're tying up that will be the Naseni Festival, where we bring all our innovations. We'll announce it soon. And then from that, we unveil, the finalists. And the whole idea of the festival is for the world to see what we've built over the years in this administration. We have nothing less than 20 different projects that are factory-based across different parts of the country. Some have been built, complete, already producing, some are on the way. But we need to bring and showcase to say, here is what we've been doing over the years. for Nigerians to take home with.
Oh, right. So this Innovate Niger is coming at a very critical time where we are trying to strengthen our economy, and we are just trying to develop indigenous ideas and develop indigenous products. What does this mean for the economy as a whole?
Well, for the economy, you get more jobs. You take people off the street. You reduce capital flight because you're not using all of your money to import things. And you'll be surprised, people from outside the country, especially neighboring countries, they are going to buy some of these products. So it means you are earning forex. But besides economy, you're also talking about security, because the less people that you have on the street to be recruited for, nuisance, the better the economy is. And, they work hand in hand. But our dream is to have a Nigeria where, there is a lot of industrialization. There is no country that has developed without going through this process. And the simple answer is you build a factory. You build a factory, you employ people, you build products, people trade, there's supply chain, you're able to send your kids to school, you have insurance as a cover for both yourself and your family. So the trickling effect is enormous.
Okay. So for a young Nigerian watching you right now who has brilliant ideas, but those ideas are just left in notebooks or lying in workshops, what would you have to say to them?
Well, I will tell them to leave, to empty their notebooks, and come forward. I assure you that there's so many programs, by this administration, and especially, in Seni. Just recently, I was watching one of my colleagues, I think yesterday, they are registering 250,000 SMEs for free, If anything is people don't come forward, to access these opportunities, because we know the efforts we make, to ensure that everyone is carried along. Even with the Innovate Niger project, sometimes I said, I don't think we have enough applications. Why don't we extend the deadline and do more adverts, go on TV, go on radio, speak in different languages. So the opportunities are there, but oftentimes you find people relax in their homes or in their workshop, waiting for those opportunities to come, and it doesn't happen that way. The world is flat. You have internet, and I'll tell them to pick up a phone and search. Those opportunities are there, and we continue to do more and more of this for their own benefits.
All right, thank you very much. And to those watching and you want to find out more about what Naseni is doing, just check out the websites currently displaying on your screen. Thank you very much, sir. We did appreciate your time. All right, yes, Rubbin Mind will continue after this break. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is Rubbin Minds. Before we went on the break, we're talking about Nigeria and the young innovators that would definitely change this country. Right about now, we want to move to a viral topic that has taken over the internet space. We actually coined this one the Olodo Uprising. Is Nigeria rewarding ignorance or redefining success? A comment by YC the rapper, he described what he called the Olodo Uprising, and this has sparked a very big social media conversation, and it had to do with people saying that Nigerians are choosing content that does not sort of edify them intellectually over intellectual content. And there's just a whole lot of debate around this. And to discuss this, in the studio, I have Jude Okbara, aka JC, a media personality. Welcome to the program. Okay, also joining us virtually, I have a singer and media personality, Nkese Itam Eyo. Welcome to the program.
Hello.
Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Nkese. When you saw the debate online as to whether Nigerians are beginning to glorify content that does not stimulate them intellectually, what was your view?
Okay, so when I saw that, I actually reflected on it because it reminded me about last year when I went to because as of last year, I would say I was at a point where I didn't have a job and gigs weren't coming by, and that can be very frustrating. So I saw a post by Pella, and I decided to go for the interview. So mind you, I was actually on like a music boot camp in Lagos, Lekki. It's by Oxygen Global Records. So I wasn't seeing like everything that was happening because I even after the interview, most of my friends were telling me that Jarvis had said that the interview was going to be fake. So I went there to actually showcase myself and actually like give him a view on what my contribution can be to his platform. So that whole thing actually messed with me mentally. And on the line I was doing an exams, NDDC, this Niger Delta scholarship, and that's how like I got myself to the UK. So on that process, I didn't want to just bank on one thing. I wanted to also put my mind in other things. So when I see some of these things on like social media and the internet, it pisses me off because sometimes I feel like we're a bit ignorant. We glorify like the wrongest things. We
So you're
don't
saying
even
that you
try
agree
to.
with Wise's opinion?
Yes, I do. I feel
Interesting.
like we need to remember that sometimes it's not even about like your talent, it's about your intellect, it's about emotional intelligence, it's about how sound you are and how you can actually carry some informations, because these things actually affected people. I mean, most of us don't see like what goes on behind, but like a lot of people actually were hurt. The people that came there, they were very angry on the whole aspect, but because of fear,
Yeah.
they just pulled back. And me, I'm someone that my parents, they've played a very huge factor. My parents and my brother, it played
Yeah.
a huge factor in my life.
Okay.
So they've always made me know that if anyone comes at me in a very offensive and a very bad, bad, bad way, I should
Right.
always speak up for myself. So I tried
Okay.
to speak up for myself. It
So
wasn't clouds chasing, but it was me standing up for myself because I'm quite educated. So why would someone make me
okay.
look like a fool in
So
front
just
of
hold on
like
to that. Just hold on to that
millions of
thought.
people?
Hold on to that thought. We're going
Yeah.
to revisit it. JC talks. What is exactly happening with our social media space? What are your thoughts on this particular issue? Because on one hand, some people are saying that now the barrier of entry is lower, which is giving certain people that would ordinarily not have an opportunity actually have an opportunity to sort of entertain and get revenue from it. So, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so interestingly, I love the reactions a lot of people have been dropping. For me, I'll start by saying the conversation is not Olodo Uprising. The conversation should be, these people we're talking about, did the educational sector give them the access that they needed? Now, she talked about intellectual conversation and all of that. I will ask, there are 4 basic domains of learning, but we only focus on cognitive skills. We have cognitive, we have psychomotor, we have affective, and of course we have social. Cognitive is like the thinking. Everyone wants you to be smart. Everyone wants you to think. Everyone wants you to solve mathematics. Everyone wants you to speak clearly. But that's not what the algorithm recognizes. Algorithm sees consistency. It sees personality more than certificates. So if I am not a smart person, if I don't have the cognitive skills, how about my psychomotor skills? Psychomotor, how I handle tools, how I play football, how I do a direct tie and die. All of them, they teach us in school. But how is it that the only thing that we want to focus in is the cognitive? How about my social skills, the stand-up comedians, the dancers? Are we going to just look away and say this doesn't matter? Or how about the affective domain? The affective is talking about virtues, honesty, patience. There are some people that are not intelligent. That's why they give well-behaved in school.
So what? So
You know, so
you've
what I'm
spoken a
saying,
lot of
yeah.
English, right? And this is not me trying to interrupt your thoughts, but again, the conversation is there. The names are there. YC has said, oh, there's an Olodo rising, and part of the people that he categorized, according to him, were the Pellas, right? And of course, it has generated a reaction. So in your own opinion, do you think people like Pella deserve the recognition that they are getting? Or do you think they they don't deserve the eyeballs that they're getting.
The word deserve is really big, because Pella might not be intelligent to some people, but I will say this clearly, that Pella is a smart person. Why do I say so? Intelligence and smartness are not the same thing. What is access? Why not give somebody the opportunity to showcase what they have? Now, if you think what they have is not intelligent enough, there are so many people doing so many things on the internet.
Right.
If there is no demand, there won't be supply. So if we all keep consuming that unintelligent content, they'll keep churning it out. So if we say they are dropping a lot and we are applauding them, who are the we? YC is one of them. You know, Pella said, most of us have promoted this nonsense with your song and all of that. Okay. So let's
do you agree with JC Nkese?
I honestly don't want to like talk about the Pella situation, but I would say that I feel like in life we should always learn to know when to like put or place ourselves, because I would say Pella is, yeah, he has the grace, he has everything, but I still feel like he needs a lot of work for himself, because he doesn't know how to pass information maturely. Yes, he's smart, no doubt. He knows how to hop on trends and he knows how to like fight and talk and argue, but there are times where he doesn't know when to read the room, sort of. He just says things that could actually stare people into anger and frustrate people that are working hard. I mean, why would you say people should go and sell akara and people should go and do other things? There are people struggling. Even the akara sellers will be affected by that statement. If they were well aware by all these things, they will be affected. So there are some certain things that I would say like Pella needs to calm down and his management needs to call him to order, because that's just somehow.
All right, sadly we're out of time. We'll definitely maybe pick up this conversation some other time, but thank you so much for coming to the program, Nkese, and thank you, JC Talks. Okay, we've had a wonderful time here in the studio. I hope you did enjoy it as much as I did. My name is Hero Daniels, and until I catch you next time, please enjoy the rest of the video.